what's up? Hello, this is NBA Crossover, CBSSports.com, presented by Motorola, makers of the new Turbo 2. It's the unbreakable phone. We are coming to you from balmy downtown Toronto.
It's cold.
What is it? It's about, what, a balmy 0 degrees here?
I live in LA. It feels like negative 50.
Yeah,
it's face hurt cold.
It's face hurt cold.
That's
You know
what
what?
you
My
call it.
face hurts and I'm inside
There you
right
go.
now.
It's face
It's
hurt.
absolutely brutally cold, but we are pleased to be here downtown Toronto at the Shark Club. It is the preeminent sports bar in all of Canada. Your boys Nick Costos, Roger Bell, and Bill Ryder talking NBA with you. And guys, let's kick it off with the starting five here, All-Star Weekend. The Golden State Warriors at the midpoint of the NBA season. 48-4 is the best start in NBA history. Gentlemen, will this team, the 2015-16 Warriors, go down as the greatest team in NBA history?
They might, right? It seems super legitimate. I mean, it's them, it's the Bulls.
Yep.
They've got just as good an offense. I would argue they have just as good a defense. Number one rated defense for the Bulls, defensive rating back in the day when they had those 7-2 wins. Fourth for the Warriors, but they're always sitting guys out in the fourth quarter. They're really evenly matched.
Yeah, they are. Those numbers do get skewed when you have to sit guys.
Right.
And look, I was a huge Bulls fan. I think all of us had to be.
Oh,
We were all-
Jordan,
yeah,
yeah,
right,
I grew up a Knicks fan, so
you
I hated
hated
the
it. That's
Bulls.
right. That's right. I
hated the
forgot.
Bulls.
He
Hated the
ranted about
Bulls.
MJ a few weeks ago.
He feasted on your soul.
Right.
Oh, it drank my tears.
And I was on
Yeah.
record earlier in the season saying that I didn't think that Golden State would get to that number. I thought that at some point they would start investing in the rest so that they would make sure to have the health going into the playoffs. But at this point, they've made it clear they want to break the record.
They want it.
And they're on pace to do it. I am not betting against Golden State anymore.
Here's the issue. Here's what's like really interesting, right? It's a question of eras in two different ways. This era is all about ball movement and team play. Back then, superstars. There would be guys who would orbit Jordan, but it was about Jordan, and the rules were different. I mean,
Yeah.
today, if you look at Steph Curry wrong, they will call a technical
They
foul
sent
on
you
you.
to jail for looking at Steph Curry
Back then,
wrong.
Jordan would punch guys in practice. So, like, what rules are we playing by? I think determines what team is the better team.
Totally. I remember Derek Harper telling me when I was in Dallas that he would literally armbar a guy and steer him wherever he wanted to go around the court. Steph Curry in that environment can't exist.
Yeah.
He's the prototypical player for today's NBA rules, right? A little super quick guard, handle the ball, get his shot off quick, get to the rack, float game. It's the way I teach my kids to play now because that's the way the game is trended. It would have been interesting to see them play, I think we talked about it off air a minute ago, under both sets of rules. Right? That would have been cool to see them have to exist under the old rules and to see if the Bulls could play under the new rules.
All right, here's my proposal. Here's what we do. You play a 7-game series. When
Commissioner
you're in
Ryder.
When you're in Chicago. Sorry, Adam Silver, you're done.
You're done, Adam.
You're out. When you're in Chicago, you play by mid-90s rules. When you're in Golden State, you play by
I love it.
2016 rules. And it comes down to a Game 7. It really does. I'll say this in the Warriors' defense. Two things. Draymond Green is important to that team's defense as Steph Curry is to the offense.
Yeah.
And in a similar way, he's unlike anything we've seen in that small ball, modern NBA. And two, Steph Curry's an amazing shooter. This year, unlike last year, when he's within 3 feet of the rim, I think he's the fourth or fifth most efficient guy in the league. Everyone else is a center, so he's still getting better.
Yeah.
Whereas Jordan, not that peaking was a problem, but Jordan was already Jordan. I think it might be the Warriors.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take the Bulls in Game 7 in Golden State. Who's going to beat Michael Jordan? The answer is nobody.
Maybe Steph
Raja,
Curry.
from your perspective, the former player perspective, what impresses you so much about Golden State, how they've been able to coast to 48-4?
Well, what I love about them is how much they love each other. You know, the best
yes.
teams I played on, my Phoenix Suns teams, we were family. And you could see that even when you were
You
watching
could
the
feel it,
broadcast.
yes.
You could feel it. It came across the airwaves. And I see that in them. I know multiple people on that staff, Jaron Collins, Luke Walton, Steve Kerr, I spent time with in Phoenix, and all of them to a man say that their players love each other. They love to do things together. The wives love each other. The kids have play dates. That translates to loving to play with each other on the floor. That's my favorite part about watching this team.
And I think to totally underscore that cultural difference between the Warriors and maybe any other team in NBA history, Bob Myers is an amazing GM, but he shares the glory and decision-making with a guy named Jerry West, who's pretty good at his job.
Yep.
Steve Kerr's remarkable, but he's got no problem with Luke Walton doing his thing.
Yep.
And it's such a culture of sharing, not just sharing the ball, which they do on the floor, but you've got a situation where this special assistant to Steve Kerr last year, the guy that literally brought coffee, devised the small ball plan
Right.
against the Cavs that sort of turned the tide. That was, in most NBA organizations, a so-called nobody. This is a culture, you're right, they love each other, they support each other, and they don't care where the glory comes from as long as they win
And you
together.
know, they've made the extraordinary look ordinary this year. In all your years covering the NBA, is this Warriors team the most awe-inspiring club that you've covered?
It absolutely, unless you do awe-inspiring the spectacle and eventual debacle that was LeBron's first year in Miami, because that was a circus, that was a disaster, but it was beautiful to cover. And a different kind of thing because you knew greatness was coming, but you
Right.
thought maybe there was going to be a car wreck beforehand. There was against Dallas. But take away some of the malice and the ugliness, which for a journalist or writer is kind of fun to write about. Yeah, I've never seen anything like it.
All right, up next, the fast break. And, it seems like we've almost crowned the Golden State Warriors to you, Denny Green. You want to crown them? Then crown them. We're crowning the Warriors
love
NBA
it.
champions already. They still have to go through San Antonio, might have to go through Cleveland. Of those two teams, the Spurs and the Cavs, which one do you give the best chance to upend the Dubs in the postseason?
I think it's the Cavs, and I know I spent a year with them last year in the front office, so I'm partial. But
Just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think that we had the model for beating them, right? You had Matthew Dellavedova that, to some degree, early in the series, was able to corral Steph Curry. He was able to get his paws on him and be physical with him, and we trapped him, got the ball out of his hands. Delimania. We forced Andre Iguodala to beat us. That was the game plan. And kudos to him, he did. Don't know that he can duplicate that again. I still love Andre Iguodala, but I'm not sure that he can do that. What we lacked was the offensive firepower to support LeBron. LeBron had phenomenal numbers in the series, but we didn't have that second option. With a healthy K-Love, a healthy Kyrie who can go back at Steph Curry, who can go at Draymond Green in the post, I think the Cavs are more suited in a 7-game series to beat Golden State.
I'm not mad at you for that answer at all, especially remembering LeBron doing 35, 13, 9.
I thought the Cavs would have won that series
Block
with
and a half,
everyone.
steal and a half, a block. But the Spurs, if it weren't for the Warriors, we'd be talking about, are they one of the greatest teams of all time? Maybe not that Bulls team. I'm never going to bet against Pop. I think LA can do a lot more. I think Aldridge, there's more there.
Yep.
Kawhi, obviously the second youngest Finals MVP in history, is now the focal point of that team. Still got a guy named Tim Duncan who some nights plays 7 minutes. So I love the Cavs, and I think they have a real chance.
Sure.
But for me, the Spurs might be the sleeper best team in the NBA, potentially.
And it may come right down to that, right? You got a young coach in Tyronn Lue, who's never been in that seat before in a pressure-packed situation.
Yeah.
And you got, arguably the best coach in NBA history in Pop. So
I think he is.
yeah.
All right, talk about sleeping. A team I didn't mention. Got 2 superstars, Oklahoma City and Westbrook and Durant. Are we sleeping on the Thunder as a team that could maybe upend Golden
Can I
State?
just end the conversation with hell no? Look, they're a real.
I think if you'd like.
Hell no. They're a really good basketball team, but we live in a different NBA.
Don't
It's
play
about
enough defense.
It's about ball movement. What Dwayne Wade and LeBron James did, basically, like, we'll take our turns and be good to each other, but we're not really in sync together. That doesn't work, especially in a conference that has the Spurs and the Warriors. No, I think you talk about like a rookie head coach. I love the Thunder. I think they're the 3rd best team in the West. Maybe the 4th best team in the NBA. I think they have no chance.
The only way that works is if you have Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, both absolutely on fire, shooting 65%
40
from
points
the field,
each.
40 points each, and that's just not going to happen. They're a dangerous team for most other teams in the NBA, but for a team like Golden State that can rack up 130 on you in a heartbeat, moves the ball around, and can defend, they don't have a chance.
I agree.
All right, time for the step back. We are live here at All-Star Weekend, and you may have heard, I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but it's actually Kobe Bryant's final All-Star game.
I heard Kobe. I think I heard of him.
Yeah, it's actually, it's
They
Kobe.
call him B?
It's Kobe's
Kobe B?
farewell tour.
Mama.
The 4-time All-Star Game MVP. So, guys, we're going to ask you what your favorite Kobe Bryant memory is. And, Raja, we have to start with you on this. You had many memorable battles with
did.
Kobe on the court. Tell us about your favorite Kobe Bryant on-court
So
experience.
my favorite moment, right? I know people are going to talk about the clothesline and all that. It's not that.
I
It's
love
not
I
that.
love
It is
the
not
clothesline,
that.
yeah.
We were playing in Staples Center. I was in Utah. Kobe and I got into a dust-up early in the game. He threw a little bow at me. I dodged it. We got in each other's face. And the ref came over to separate it. And we had tested each other's manhood, for the last 2 minutes. And Kobe looked at the ref and he said, "Call it even tonight." I could not believe
So
that he
awesome.
had the
That's awesome.
audacity to say that to a ref. But he told him to call it even that night.
He respected you.
And he did, but Kobe knew what the deal was. Kobe knew that he could tell a ref what to do. He knew his place in the league. He knew that there was nothing they were going to do to him, and he told that man straight up, call it even tonight, and he did.
Nothing annoys me more in American culture than people that everyone hates or a lot of people hate. They die, then all of a sudden everybody loves that guy who's my favorite dude. Kobe's not dying, but his career's going away.
Right.
And suddenly everybody loves Kobe Bryant. But what made Kobe Kobe were the elbows and the hatred
No doubt.
and the malice.
Yep.
Sure.
And the fact, I want to eat your soul. I
Yeah.
want to crush your will
Love
to
that.
live.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's a little under the radar. Staples Center, I think 2009 All-Star game.
Sure.
Dwayne Wade, was on purpose.
Like, yeah,
Breaks the dude's nose in an All-Star game
Right.
at his home court, and Mamba jumps up, and looks at him like, you can break whatever you want, I'm gonna own you.
It was on.
And it just, for me, not just what Kobe's about, but what he was about going up against some of the other greats of his era. One of my favorite moments.
Yeah, Kobe, straight up gladiator. And I got the chills listening to both of you guys talk about those moments. For me, it's the 81-point game. And I remember watching it, totally awe-inspiring. How the hell did he do it? It was Championship Sunday in the NFL. I'll never forget. And it took my attention away from the NFL to a random NBA regular season game in January because Kobe was so great. All right, segment 4, Unbreakable. And as you guys know, we are sponsored by Motorola, makers of the Turbo 2. It is the Unbreakable phone. And the Unbreakable team in the first half of the NBA season, how about the Boston Celtics, guys?
Amazing.
How the hell have they done this? 32-23. They currently, I almost fainted when I saw they're the 3rd seed right now in the East. How has Brad Stevens' team been able to surprise so many people?
Well, they play that small ball lineup. Isaiah Thomas has been phenomenal.
Amazing.
They come in with Kelly Olynyk, and he just spreads the floor. He's like a poor man's Kevin Love, if you will. Spreads the floor, can shoot
Separating
the ball,
people's shoulders,
does
yeah.
a little bit of everything.
Speaking of K-Love.
Offensively, I think they're 9th in the league pace-adjusted offense this year. They just play up-tempo, and they're going to beat you. They come in with Evan Turner. You know what I like about Brad Stevens? He lets guys be themselves.
Yeah, you're right.
He doesn't ask a guy.
Stud.
Evan Turner struggled in Indiana, struggled in a lot of places. He embraces what Evan Turner can do, and he puts him in a position to do it. I think that's what good coaches do. Mike D'Antoni, he took his lumps in New York and other places, but offensively, he would let you do what you did. And I think Brad Stevens has that. He's coupled it with a really good defensive mind. They're just a really tough team.
Yeah, I mean, I love the pace of play thing because teams that usually play at that rate, their defense suffers a little bit. 3rd in defensive rating in the NBA this year. I am going to say, I'm sorry, Eastern Conference. I know the Eastern Conference is better. It's still the Eastern Conference, so that helps a little bit. Some teams like Miami and some other teams have just sort of fallen. I thought Miami had a real shot to be a sleeper this year. It's been sort of a disappointing stretch for the Eastern Conference. And Brad Stevens, and we throw this word around, he's a basketball genius.
He is.
His basketball acumen, the leap that he made, coming from college, that level of college, I think he is the answer to the question. A lot of it's Brad Stevens.
Guys really, like last year in Cleveland's locker room, as I would talk to some of the guys that I played with and knew from way back, they would talk about Brad Stevens, and everyone respects Brad Stevens on his team or not on his team. Players in the league know that Brad Stevens knows his stuff.
There you have it, the Celtics, the unbreakable team of the first half of the season, sponsored by Motorola, makers of the Turbo 2. It's the unbreakable phone. Time to close up the show now, and this is your indoctrination bill to this segment. It's called At the Buzzer, and we are going to give you 24 seconds to rant on anything you'd like, sports, life, or otherwise. As always, I will go first. And when we landed in Toronto today, myself and my intrepid producer, Mike Long, we got into the car and my cell phone turns on. And what does it say? It says, I am now officially roaming. And if I want to do anything with my phone, I'm going to get charged up the wazoo. We're driving through Toronto with a real map, not Google Maps, an actual physical map. I felt like it was 1989 because we felt like if we went to Google Maps, I was going to lose half my salary for the year. You know what I think roaming? I think that you should go to hell and burn there for all eternity. Go to hell roaming.
Super rational response. I like it.
Welcome, Bill.
Whoa,
Welcome.
Bill, I am nothing
There
if
you
not
go.
rational.
All right, so would you like to follow that?
I'll try.
Yeah, go
The
by all
rage is
means.
filling me. Usually I would use this opportunity, Byron Scott, to talk to you. You know I'm talking. But not today. Because a flight attendant was so rude, incompetent, unprofessional, and frankly a horrible human being that Byron Scott, you look like a great coach and a steward of young men for the ages compared to this lady. Look, it's a 5-hour flight. I get it, to Canada. There's a lot of turbulence. None of us can go to the bathroom. The pilot won't let us stand up. You're miserable. I'm miserable. Everybody's miserable. There's no reason to be ridiculously obnoxious. When I asked you for those Pringles, it's because I was freaking hungry. They never showed up. So to you, stewardess from hell, I'm not gonna say the airline. Damn you.
I love it. I love it.
Serious.
I don't know.
Banishing
Can I
people to
bow out?
eternity
Can I
in
bow out?
hellfire.
Can
No,
I just?
You cannot.
All right. So in the airline theme,
All right, good.
I will. I get to the airport today. I've got a 3:00 flight. All right.
Yep.
I get there at 2:03.
Okay.
The woman tells me that I cannot check in for said flight because I have to be there an hour before.
No.
Ma'am, we are talking about 3 minutes and I was circling trying to find the valet. It's not my fault that you moved it. I don't have a bag. All I have is a backpack. Why can't I get on this plane? Finally, she gets her boss who lets me on the plane. Reasonable human being, right? I can get on this plane. But you've given up my business class ticket. That's my punishment for being late. Thank you. Airlines, get your stuff together. I'm with Bill.
Well, there you have it. So I think that both roaming and airlines, the product of our malice on this edition of NBA Crossover. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to the Shark Club. Thanks to Motorola, makers of the Turbo 2. It's the unbreakable phone for Bill Ryder and Raja Bell. I'm Nick Costos. Catch you next time. NBA Crossover, CBSSports.com.